Hey everybody, welcome back to Graybeard Gaming. So today we are going to be putting lime on our fields, and we've also opened up the opportunity for more contracts because now we can run fertilizer. We don't have a whole lot of money, so once we get our field limed, we will need to go ahead and get started on finding things to do because we need to plant our field, which we have our seeder. We have some seed so we can get started there. We do not have fertilizer yet, but I am sure that this will be the next step. Also today we're going to look at some harvesters. Even though we don't need one immediately, it is, in my opinion, a good plan to start thinking about that now. I do have, I believe, 3 in mind that I am considering. So we'll go through those and see what you guys think. Maybe leave a comment as to which one you would recommend. I'll also be needing to look for a wagon, and there's a couple out there that are more universal than others, as you can customize them to bale trailers or logging trailers. I don't care for a logging trailer right now until I plant my own trees and they grow. So let's go ahead and get to it and get this line laid down and see if there's maybe a contract or two we can take to fertilize some fields or maybe even cultivate a field or two. I want to try and keep these videos on a relatively short, watchable interval, 15-20 minutes, just because I am new at this. There's a lot of figuring out that I have to do, and I don't want to make you guys suffer through that. So while we are driving down to the farm, I thought I'd ask if there's anything anybody out there watching would like to see me do, especially for productions. I've never really gotten much into productions, but I am more than willing to try anything. Well, almost anything, at least once. Obviously, I'm not doing timber related things right now. I am way off center. Holy cow, is that awful? I have not also taken care to test my soil, even though I do have precision farming on. I should probably test the soil, but for the time being, let's just go ahead and save our money for this season going into next year, and we'll start then with soil samples and things of that nature. I may just do a blanket, hit the button and see what the soil says. I don't necessarily feel like I need to get all the equipment, drill a test hole and send in the samples. And sometimes just as well if I pay for that blanket sample. Alright, so that's about the quickest lime job I think I've ever done. And I'm just gonna pull off to the side here. We'll unload the lime and see what we can do. We're gonna head down to the store now and buy a bag of fertilizer. But first, before I do that, let's actually see if there are any jobs available that we will do. Alright, so field 62 and field 59. That might not be too bad. There are no cultivating, and yes, I do have some. I have better contracts downloaded, and I can kind of funnel through that. I haven't done a whole lot on the settings with that. I'm not doing lazy farmer right now because there's no such thing. A lazy farmer would be one who just died. All right, that's their break. That's when they get to sleep. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map quick and see where 59 and 62 are. So 59 and 62. All right, well, there's 62 and 59. So they're both in the same spot. So I'll probably go ahead and take both of those contracts. That way we can earn a little bit of money, which, as you all know, when you're doing fertilizing, you have to pay for the fertilizer, and hopefully that doesn't eat too much into our earnings. So let's go ahead, and I'll go ahead and accept both of those. And I'm not going to do that. And once we do have our own equipment, I am going to stop borrowing equipment. So I do have to be mindful of the size of the fields and jobs that I'm doing that way, because you don't want to see me cultivating a giant field with that 4-meter Chalmers cultivator. I know it'd get the job done, but no one wants to sit through that. That's painful. So let's head down to the store, and while we're driving, let's go ahead and grab our first bag of fertilizer. I think one bag ought to cover both of those fields. I know that there's ways to see how much fertilizer you need on that job. I didn't look at that already. I just accepted them. Be that as it may, I probably should look at that and pay more attention to that. All right. So we are pulling up now to pick up our fertilizer. So once we get that loaded in, once we get that loaded into our spreader, we can go ahead and head on out to the fields that we have contracts for and get to work. And as you can see, I do need to continue on contracts because we won't really have an income until next summer from crops. Now, one of the things that I want to stress is that I'm not a huge fan of doing the baling, at least for playthroughs that I'm going to post videos on. I understand that's a way to make some money, but currently I don't think it's a way that I want to make money, and I will kind of make a later determination on those types of things. I just want to ensure that it progresses at a reasonable rate. I don't want to start seeing $100,000 in my account. Plus, I also have to be mindful that I have a $200,000 loan, and with that loan, I need to pay back every month. So that's why I am doing contracts. It's really just to kind of keep myself financially stable and keep the money flowing in, even if it's just to pay that note every single month. And it's a bit substantial. So, we're talking, I need to have quite a good amount of money. If I take a quick look at it, it is telling me that I have to pay almost $6,000 every single month, which is a substantial amount of money considering I only have 4,600. So I guess it's one of those things that I'm going to have to really buckle down on, make sure I'm not blowing my money, which I've been doing, and we will hopefully in the end we'll get there. And I know I'm just driving in circles right now, but that's because I'm gabbing. I have that gift. And I should probably open up my maps in a way that I can actually see where I need to go, which, alright, looks like I've got a bit of distance to put between my current location and where I need to wind up. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get there. I'm going to be quiet for a minute, and I will be right back to jabber along once I get to the field. Guys, we are almost there. As you can see, I'm just kind of coming around the corner here, and we will basically be right there, ready to turn into the drive to the fields. And it's this middle field here on the right. It's not a very big one. That's all right. Size doesn't matter, right? At least that's what, we're told. Alright, let me get that map out of your guys' way. You don't need that. It's been a while since I've been on Farm Creek. I really do enjoy this map. This is actually the map that my 8-year-old and he wanted to play Farming Simulator. He just likes to get cars, really fire trucks and police cars, turns the sirens on and drives around maps. And for him, that's a lot of fun. For me, I think those are fantastically developed mods, but not anything I generally want to nothing I generally want to use. Alright, so we just got to get up past this field here that's ready to be harvested, and that is one of the things I'm considering buying, is a harvester, just so that I can do some of these contracts. Now, should I be considering that? No, not at all. I shouldn't be even contemplating such a thought, but what kind of farming would it really be if we weren't trying to take on that aspect of harvesting, and I really don't want to borrow harvesters. There's a couple I have in mind, like I said earlier. And as soon as we get done with the fertilizing of this field, we'll head up there and take a look. Now, the ones that I think will be most useful to us are going to be smaller capacities. I know that's not ideal to anybody because that means more unloading, but where we are currently at with this farm, we're going to need something reasonable as far as price, and you're not going to find anything reasonable that is in the price range which we can actually afford to pay in cash without taking any sort of loan. And I do say that, and I realize that there is the Gleaner combine, which has very high capacity, great speed. I do love that combine. I've been using it recently. Financially speaking, it's too good to be true. One thing I do like about that is the headers. There's 3 different sizes, and there's a reasonable expectation of cost on those for an old iron type of vintage harvester. Now, does that mean that we are going to go with that harvester? Probably not. Like I said, that harvester, and while I'm talking here, I'm going to go ahead and complete these contracts, but that harvester is such a large capacity that it almost kind of feels like cheating, especially at that price. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start driving back towards our farm, and while we're doing that, we're going to jump into the shop because we're down to about the last 2-3 minutes that I want this video to take, and I'm not going to purchase a harvester right this moment, but I do want to kind of look at a couple of them. Now, the harvesters that I do want to look at are, let me see, here's the bison, and I'm sorry, this is the Fint, and that's a great little starter, but we don't have money for anything like that. So what do we have money for? Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking in the budget range that we have. There is the Gleaner AGCO 1972, which is definitely in that vintage year range. Here's the other option, which is basically the same thing. It's another Gleaner. It's got a large capacity, and it's more realistic in the price. That 21.5 is actually much more realistic than this one here, which has a higher capacity, and for $6,000, like I said, you cannot go wrong with that. And there's a few others that I have in here. The Matador is another one, but again, I want to stay away from Kloss. I want to stay away from Massey. This Arvo is one of those really It's basically it's a low capacity, but it is interesting. It looks a little dirty, but you know, dirty equipment is equipment that gets used. Its price is good, but there's no header with that price. And as you can see, the 6 miles an hour and the 2.1 meters cubed is really a low capacity, especially when this one's got a header and it does hold less, but it's still got a header and it's cheaper. But I don't think we're going to go with that one either. I have not used this yet. I saw this mod. I have not used this one yet. I'm interested in it, but again, it's $79,000. We're not going to be able to afford it. What we can afford is not this Ford, but is this Allis-Chalmers. It's 100 horse. It's got 4,000 liter. But what we want, what we want is the cabin, because I mean this thing's pretty ugly. I'm not gonna lie, and it is a very ugly harvester, but for $3,500, this is what I would expect to find at an auction, or in the back of some farm dealership lot yard where it's the very far back of the lot, and that's what someone's gonna be able to afford. And so I think this is the one we're gonna go with. We're not gonna buy it right this moment because I'm gonna have to do a couple more contracts, as it does have a couple different headers, and the headers are affordable. It's slow running though, so you're 4.2 meters and they're only able to go 4 miles an hour, or at the same time you got 3.3 at 5 miles an hour. That's pretty slow, but we'll make it work, and we'll probably go with the smaller one that runs a little bit faster. But until we figure out a harvesting contract we can do, I'm not going to jump after buying a harvester. So with that in mind, and now that we've completed our 2 contracts and we have a little bit of money, I think we're going to wrap it up here for now on episode 3. And when we come back next time, we're going to see if we can't find a couple more tasks. I have to decide if I'm going to be planting barley or if I'm going to be planting wheat. Barley is something I can harvest earlier in the year, and so that means I can either start getting chickens or at least sell the straw. So I'll probably go with barley, at least in 2 of the 3 fields. Once we have a little bit more time to think about things, we'll make a determination on field 3. So with that in mind, I just want to say thank you guys for viewing, and any comments, I will do my best to get back to you quickly. And I appreciate all the likes, shares, and subscribes that I've gotten so far, and hopefully they continue to be enjoyed videos, and we'll continue to make them as long as we can continue to progress. So thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you soon.